All right, guys. So before we dive in, I kind of want to preface and kind of get us started, set the framework. So, kind of want you to imagine yourself if you were feeling, just kind of get you in your mind a little bit. Do your little imagination, close your eyes, and imagine that you're standing at the edge of a massive theme park. Okay, and it's dark out, and everything is lit up, big, bright, flashing lights. So you're hearing this noise, you're hearing the sounds, you're seeing those flashing lights, but you don't know where to go first. And that's how a lot of people feel when they enter crypto for the first time, very overwhelmed, very lost. So Depot was created to change that. Our team is a mix of front end and back end developers, designers, seasoned crypto OGs who've lived through the bull runs, the crashes, the scams, and the innovations. So we know what it feels like to get burnt, but we also know that thrill of catching something early, catching something real. Um, and so, we have gotten the question a few times, are we fully doxxed? Is the team fully doxxed? Being a utility project in the space, people look for accountability. The answer to that is no, not fully, but several of the team members have gone through KYC verification with Assure DeFi. So that's accountability baked into the project. But no one from the team has been hiding. Everyone's available in the main Telegram to ask questions to. They've been pretty open. And like I said, if somebody comes at me with a question that I don't know the answer to, then we're going to make sure we get it answered right away from these guys. So again, our focus is crystal clear. We really just want to make crypto human again. First step in that mission is the Hero app. So if you've been, tagging along the journey so far, you've heard a little bit about the development of the Hero app. And as I was saying, if you're not a meme token in this space, you better solve a problem. And I say that often because, a lot of people try to become a utility and end up just as a Ponzi scheme in this space. Of course, you've seen it time and time again. But to be a true utility, you need to be a tool for somebody and you need to solve, a problem. So one thing I think many people would agree upon, just listening into spaces such as these and different chill and chill spaces that you see around, crypto Twitter running all day and all night long is that crypto is broken for most people right now. So sure, the market overall has seen a really, really nice pump. But a lot of people argue that institutionally is where a lot of that's coming from. So getting new people involved in the game has still been a trickier process. And a lot of people feel once ETH really triggers past that all-time high, 5K, 6, 7, 8, and beyond, that's when you're going to get that interest again of normies in air quotes saying, "Hey, let me get involved." But um, my point of this is if you've ever tried to onboard a friend, somebody new, and I have in several different instances, then you really know the pain that's involved with that. You tell them to download a wallet and they pretty much freeze over. Even if you're walking them through it, you pretty much got to be right there next to them. You try to explain gas fees, their eyes pretty much glaze over. It's a difficult concept to grasp until you've done it a bunch of times. And then you show them something like a token screener and they see this wall of charts and they just give up. It's so common in the space when trying to get somebody new, because one thing that's very common is as I do a lot of spaces, I listen in on a lot of spaces, and a lot of people claim to be around from last bull run and prior to that, and myself included. So it's like, hey, we need to focus on getting the new guys into the mix and not having them feel so overwhelmed. So that frustration is exactly what we showed in that little video we had on X. So if you go back through our little, if you click on my profile here and go back through our X page, you come across some of those recent videos that we have, and that's really just that overwhelming feeling of being, buried under buttons and pop-ups and different types of sniper bots and different types of things to do and places to look for, for ways to succeed in cryptocurrency. So the Hero app is our answer to that. It's launching, sometime this month, and it's our front door to Depot. Pretty much, it takes all that chaos and strips it down into something simple, something visual, and as I said, something human. The goal is to make crypto human again, bring that human aspect back to it. And instead of needing a manual just to start, you'll open the Hero app and instantly feel like you know where to go. So for beginners, it's a safe on ramp. For experienced users, it's a clean hub that will still have all the depth that you want. And it's really about removing that barrier to entry, making your first step into crypto feel less threatening, less like jumping into a storm and more like stepping into a guided path. So to break that down a little bit further, inside the Hero app, there's designed two paths. There's journey mode and there's adventure mode. So think of it like traveling. Sometimes you want a tour guide, someone who points you in the best landmarks, someone who shows you what's sketchy, where to stay away from, stay away from that dark alley. Don't be doing this and that. That would be journey mode, more guided. Okay, other times you want to wander freely. Okay, no guide, no map, no just purely exploration, your own gut instinct, and that would be adventure mode. And both serve a purpose, of course. So journey mode is curated, to be beginner friendly. Adventure mode is wide open for people who already kind of know how to navigate through the space in some capacity. And together they give you the choice, start safe and dive deep. But today, for the purpose of this call, for this recording, um, we're going to focus on journey mode. Just 1 second here. And then adventure mode, we can get into later, maybe a different space, that kind of thing. So just to tease it a little bit, adventure mode is like zooming out on the entire market. It's where you can spot those hidden gems a little bit more advancedly, track narratives, find momentum shifts across every sector. So it's going to be pretty intuitive, pretty in depth. Um, but since it hasn't been fully, presented yet, we're going to leave that for maybe another day that we dive into that one a little bit further. So today, again, like I said, the spotlight, we'll keep it on journey mode. That's the mode, kind of built for fixing crypto onboarding, which I think everyone would agree is a massive problem in this space. So walking through journey mode together, instead of dumping you into a chaotic exchange screen where dozens of random tokens exist, journey mode kind of greets you with a little bit more clarity. So around 100 to 200 projects are displayed as cards, not endless tables. Each card shows you essentials, kind of stats, badges, weather. Um, and we're going to break down each of those things individually. So that layout is kind of built, on the dashboard so that it feels natural for you to flow through the project or flow through the different offerings that are available and kind of educate yourself about what you're looking at. And so, like I mentioned, it's built like a dashboard. On the left side of it, there are videos of the UI available. There's a side menu that lets you kind of work through the navigation compass. And at the top of the header bar, you got your key tools that you can dive into. And on the right, there's info bar that updates you as you explore. And kind of in the middle of the screen, once you're on the dashboard, are the project cards. So very clean visual snapshots of each project. Um, this is about taking away the fear of, what am I looking at? That's what we want to do. We want to simplify. And hopefully, all this has been very easy to follow along with because it's an easy idea, but a lot of UI designs really miss the mark when it comes to simplicity. Okay. So we want to take out that fear of what am I looking at and replace it with instant understanding. Okay, cool. That's what this card does. That's what weather is doing. That's what I'm looking at. All of these things are pointing me in directions that are going to take me to either purchase or say no, thank you. Okay. So right now, our developers, front end and back end, they're kind of head down in the Heroes app, in the Hero app. The goal is to have alpha access by the end of September. So by the end of this month, alpha access available, so you can see it for yourself, use it, get immersed with it, troubleshoot it, and give us feedback on it. Okay. There is a video walkthrough. So again, if you go back through the X, there is that quick video preview that we've let out on there. So I've kind of already mentioned if how nicely we feel like it flows. The side menu that I mentioned kind of keeps that navigation intuitive. There's that header bar that stays with you like a compass at the top of the map. The info bar updates you as you are exploring, giving context without overwhelming you is the goal. So again, simplicity, not a bunch of jargon, really just trying to make it easy to follow. And then there's the project cards, and that's where the real magic happens. Okay. We're super proud of the project cards. They condense a world of information into something you can understand just at a glance. So this video isn't just a demo, it's proof of the philosophy. So again, just go back through our feed. Depot isn't about adding more noise, it's about turning noise into signal. So while I keep telling you guys to go to the feed, let me see if I can, or if somebody else can pin. We'll save that for later on. It's okay. It's okay. I just don't have it on deck. So, I mean, we're going to have more previews that are going to be introduced later on. So just keep your eyes out, stay with us. Again, simplicity is what we're aiming for. But again, it's going to be a really, really great visual representation. And we think the UI is spot on for sure. So let's talk about weather. I mentioned on these cards, there's going to be something called weather. Okay. So when I first saw it myself, I'm like, all right, what are we talking about here? Let's get this broken down a little bit further. So in kind of, again, two categories, there's global and token weather. It's actually one of my favorite features now that I've gotten to learn about this. So we all check the weather every day, right? Maybe multiple times a day. I mean, I am working on a home project right now, and it's pretty time sensitive for the next time it rains. So I'm paying attention to weather quite often. So I feel like it's pretty universal, no matter what part of the world you may be in. If you have access to something that's going to forecast your weather a little bit, you're probably checking it. So everyone knows the difference between a storm and a sunny day. Yes. So we asked ourselves, why not use the same language for the market, right? We have red days and green days, or we have stormy days and we have sunny days. So that's why we built global weather, kind of five clear states of weather, if you will. So stormy kind of being like major events, crashes, regulatory shocks, liquidity black holes launching like that World Liberty the other day, just yesterday. Rainy uncertainty, okay, could be associated with minor pullbacks as well. Cloudy, sideways, low volatility drift. Okay, we've had a lot of sideways action before you decided to ramp up to the new all-time high and that kind of deal. So sunny, optimism, steady upward growth. If you zoom out overall in the market, I think things have been pretty damn sunny myself. And then bright, strong activity, bullish momentum. Okay, so are we really in the full height of the bull run? No, not in my honest opinion, and not in the opinion of so many others. But once we get there, that weather forecast is going to be bright and it's going to be strong for all projects involved that are rocking and rolling and doing their thing. And we think we're going to give ourselves a strong case to be, a survivor to weather the storm and make sure we see that bright market. And investors who are going to be with us are going to, really benefit from being in early. So we're more than just a sticker, it's a guide. We're more than just a meme, just a visual image. We are a tool that somebody can put in their belt or refer somebody new to get involved with. Okay. Um, so you always shouldn't treat this, you shouldn't treat the markets the same depending on how the weather is. Just like you wouldn't, picnic in a thunderstorm kind of thing. You wouldn't treat a stormy market the same as a bright one, of course. Um, but each project is going to have its own local weather too. Okay. So that's over kind of like the overall global aspect, looking at crypto from a broad spectrum. But there's going to be the local weather too that kind of associates to each project individually, token weather, if you will. So maybe the overall market is cloudy, but one project is shining bright because it's on a run. That kind of offset. So that dual layer, global plus token, is going to help users orient themselves instantly without needing to decode charts or indicators. They're going to be able to just kind of follow the signals of the air quote weather. Okay. So each project on their card will have badges as well. Badges are kind of responsive markers that let you know what projects are doing that's going to help them stand out. Okay, what is their key, goal or objective or mission statement? Just at a quick glance, so you kind of know what's different about them. So no PDFs, no hours of research, just a card with badges that tell you the story. Again, simplicity being our key. So, for example, curated by OGs means it's been highlighted by seasoned traders or vetted influencers. KYC, there's KYC badges showing that the team went through identity verification. LLC, badges showing that it's a legally registered entity. Innovation badge, marks fresh tech or unique ideas. Black sheep highlighting projects that break the mold. Always got to have a black sheep in every market. Working product signals not just hype, but it's real and usable now, like Depot is about to be. And pay attention nudges you towards something noteworthy. Pay attention badge might be highlighted in a way that's easily identified or filterable. And then super community shows it's buzzing with community and support. So who knows how many other badges are going to be available? Those are just some general ideas of how the badge structure will work. But the philosophy is quite simple. People learn through visuals. Ultimately, statistically, just like kids recognize pictures before they can read, newcomers can recognize badges before they know how to read these charts, and before they know how to decipher the code of Etherscan or all the jargon of Etherscan and all the back end stuff of looking at holder lists, etc. So badges, really are going to help simplify that noise, give both beginners and experts instant context, and help you decide which projects deserve your focus. So, I'll wrap this up here. We're getting pretty close to the 20-minute mark. I want to make sure that anybody listening back to this isn't going to, have to listen through hours of content. I want them to be able to soak it up and just see what the vision overall is and where we're headed. So as you can see already, Depot is tackling crypto's biggest barrier, making it human, making it easily accessible, making it something that just isn't jargon. Um, um, there is a team section, on our website. So please go ahead and, view that, or otherwise come into the Telegram and ask more questions in regards to team, so you can get a better idea of who is working behind the scenes on this project tirelessly to make sure that it's going to be executed and make sure it's going to be perfect. You kind of talked a little bit about how the Hero app is going to solve one of the major problems in the space. We didn't get into the adventure mode yet. That's something that we can kind of go over on the next one, talking about people who are more experienced in the space and how they can also leverage our platform. But journey mode is what we mainly focused on, basically clean UI, simplicity, making it so you can say, all right, I got a buddy who wants to get into crypto. Let's get him over to Depot, have him get involved with journey mode, and get him on board and get him trading and get him comfortable and acclimated before he gets out there in the wild. And then we kind of talked about weather and badges and just some of the other little perks that the project cards are going to have within the UI, features that really are going to help turn that complexity into simple universal language. So again, like I said, next time we'll dive into adventure mode, some of the other things. But for now, be among the very first to try the Hero app. There is a whitelist form that you can fill out on the website as well. So when the alpha mode does come available for people to try, you'll be the first to do so. So make sure you go check out that on our website or ask questions in the Telegram. You can read in-depth, Medium article, or follow us, on X. Of course, we encourage you to do that for updates and developments as we move forward. And really, mainly, I want to thank you guys for those who tuned in to support us out the gates. Thank you so much for being a part of this first journey. Um, Remember, the next journey is always going to get stronger. The weather's going to get better out there in crypto land, and we're supposed to have a very bullish finish to the end of the cycle here at the end of this year. So um, we will do a small recap of this AMA, maybe like a small text write up, that kind of thing that we can post across socials as well for anybody who missed out on it. So yeah, again, thanks so much for joining in. Appreciate you guys spending the last 20 minutes with me here. We just wanted to make sure everybody had a nice broad overview. I will give it a minute or two. If anybody has a question they'd like to ask, feel free to raise your hand. At this time, I don't see anybody with a hand up, so I'll give it just a minute or two. We did cover, a lot of the broad view of the project. So if you got something, please let me know. I'd be glad to either answer it or get you an answer from the team. And if not, we are going to be looking to make this kind of a weekly occurrence so that we can, keep the alpha updates rolling. So looking pretty set and ready right now. I hope I hit on every detail. If not, next time, anything I missed, we'll go back over again. But also, this is recorded, so feel free to give it a listen again if you missed any details, or go ahead and show it in your groups so people can listen about Depot and just come hear what we're all about. With that, I will close it down for the day. Wish you guys the very best. Hope you have a great week. Stay safe out there, and we will see you on the next one. All right, guys. Depot out.